I have always said, speaking of Jordan, that as a clutch competitor and a big game winner, the closest thing I ever saw to Michael Jordan was Tom Brady. And now it's starting to dawn on me that now maybe they share one other post-career quality. Think about this. They can't translate their playing genius into broadcasting dominance or into team-building brilliance. Michael Jordan was smart enough. A man's got to know his limitations, said Clint Eastwood, but Michael Jordan knew his enough to not to even try TV commentating on NBA games. Covered Michael, got to know him in 1998, that last dance year in Chicago. It was never a great interview. Never the greatest at expressing his innermost thoughts or what he saw and felt during basketball games. Stories are legendary around the Bulls of those days about how Jerry Krause, the GM Michael hated, had to continue to overrule Michael when Michael pushed to go get this player or that player because Jerry was smarter than Michael at team building. Jerry did a great job, but he had Jordan. But Jerry, again, a lot of times Michael wanted Carolina players. Oh, they're the best. Al Wood. Do you remember Al? I called him Balsa Wood. He was always getting hurt. Michael, let's go get Al Wood, Carolina player. No, he doesn't fit here. It's not good. It's not a good team fit, blah, blah, blah. Just one story after another. Michael was just so supremely gifted, as I used to call him. He was a supremely talented overachiever. That's how you get to be the GOAT, supremely talented overachiever. Nobody worked harder and nobody was more talented. Look out, GOAT. But he was so gifted that he couldn't really see why others couldn't play. It's like when Magic tried to coach, it's Jerry West tried to coach. It's like, why can't you just do that? I can't do that. You did that. I can't do that. Nobody could do that except Magic and Jerry West. And nobody could do it except Michael Jeffrey Jordan. He knew why he made plays and passes and clutch shots, but he struggled to put it into words about why others around him couldn't. If you're with me, it's one thing to be able to do it. It's another to see it and say it live on TV as you comment on a game. So I'm now working with Aqib Talib, my guy on Arena Gridiron, as I mentioned. So Aqib caught my eye when he played for Kansas. Kansas wasn't any good at that point, but I would occasionally watch Kansas and he would leap off the TV screen because he was so gifted at cornerback, but you could see he was gifted mentally as well. He had that it quality at corner of anticipation, of I can see it before you see it. I can read the quarterback before he even cuts loose. I'm already moving toward where the quarterback has focused upon and is going to attempt to complete a pass. Aqib, I could just see it right away, played with his body and his brain. That's a lethal combination for receivers. I mean, all Aqib did for a mediocre Kansas team was he was the MVP of the Orange Bowl, the MVP of the Orange Bowl against Virginia Tech for Kansas as a cornerback. It's hard to be an MVP of a game at cornerback, but he did it. Happened once in the last Cowboys Super Bowl, but don't get me started about that. So I love sparring with Aqib on Arena Gridiron because He gets it, man. Do you know how many ex-players I have debated with on live TV below these many years? Do you know how many just don't get it? Trust me, they just don't get it. Yeah, I didn't play, but neither did Howie Roseman. He's the best GM in football because he gets it. He sees it. He can see who can play and who can't play, and he couldn't play. But he's got the gift of seeing what works in pro football and being way ahead of every curve to acquire that player through that draft pick or that free agent move. That's why Philly still think they're the best team in the NFC. So with Aqib, it's fun because he inspires me on air because he's smart. He can hang with me because he makes great points. And some of his points I can't make because he's making a point from a perspective of, I did this. So many of those players just can't get it out. They can't express it. They might have the correct instinct about what's right and wrong, but they can't verbalize and vocalize it. It just won't come out right because there's so many of them they just don't understand. They don't really know football. They played their position, played it at some high level. But as far as how the game works, they don't get it. Aqib Talib is just a pleasure for me to spar with on air. I learn from him. I think he learns occasionally from me. We go back and forth at the highest level of respect, and he makes me laugh, and I make him laugh. It's beautiful. It's like the end of Casablanca. It's the beginning of a beautiful friendship. So what happened to Michael Jeffrey Jordan after he retired? He did do that little ceremonial stint in Washington just because he was close to the owner. He kind of wanted to coach the team and operate the team, and that gave him a taste. And then here he went, and he begins 14 seasons of being an owner, but also an operator in Charlotte. He built all those teams. He made every choice. 14 seasons he did this. It was the all-time disaster for a general manager in any sport. And it's another case, the Jerry Jones effect was in operation because Michael wasn't going to fire himself. He's the owner and the operator. He's Jerry Jones. Michael Jordan, as much as it pains me to say, was the worst GM in the history of sports. I can show you. 14 seasons, 3 playoff appearances in the NBA, where it seems like half the teams make the playoffs. 3. 2010, they made it and got swept. 2014, they made it and got swept. 2016, they did make it all the way to Game 7 before they lost. So 3 playoff series, 0-3 in the postseason in 14 seasons. Horrendous. That's as bad as Jordan was great as a player. 2012, they set the record for the worst winning percentage in NBA history. They went 7-59 that year, 7-59. Just a few of his shockingly bad draft picks. This is Michael Jordan trying to pick players. This is the GOAT. Took Adam Morrison. I immediately said, wrong. I was on cold pizza at that point. What year was it? Maybe 2005. Wrong. Adam Morrison. Could have had Brandon Roy or Kyle Lowry. Yikes. Took Kemba Walker. I liked his spunk, spirit, competitive fire, but he's like 5'11", Kemba Walker. Over Clay. Kawhi. No, you can't do that. Then he took Michael Kidd Gilchrist over Bradley Beal. I could go on in that draft. I could just keep going deeper and just give you name after name. I don't want to beat this dead horse too many more times. He took Cody Zeller. I was like, stop it. Over Giannis. Took Frank Kaminsky. No. Over Devin Booker. I called that one when it happened. Wrong. Took Malik Monk over Donovan Mitchell. I like Malik Monk as kind of a sixth-man fire starter, microwaver. Donovan Mitchell? Okay, I could just go on and on. I think I've made the point. It was a disaster. John Elway was a disaster picking quarterbacks. He just couldn't pick a quarterback. Peyton Manning knocked on his door. But when it came to the draft, he just couldn't do it. He just couldn't see what worked at quarterback because he was just too gifted at playing quarterback to get it. You need an overachiever, actually, at quarterback to understand how hard it is to play quarterback and that this guy can and this guy can't. Which brings me to the football GOAT, unquestionable GOAT, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. So, what have we seen from Tom post-football? We have seen him here of late. So he's committed to Fox for $375 million over 10 years to try to become the GOAT broadcaster, the GOAT in-game commentator. And then on top of that, he ran a double reverse on Fox and said, well, I have an opportunity because of Mark Davis, my friend, the owner of the Raiders. I can own 5%. It's like $40 million worth of the Las Vegas Raiders. And he jumped at it, even though that tied both hands behind his back as a broadcaster because of NFL rules preventing him as an owner to actually interact with a team whose game he's going to call the next Sunday. So Tom has been severely restricted in what he can glean from the team about what's really going on inside the team, as we hear all the other broadcasters constantly say, they like him, they don't like him, they need more from him, but they're going to utilize him way more. None of that is going to be told to Tom Brady because too many times there's overlap of games that he is researching versus games upcoming that the Raiders are actually playing against that team. And it became very clear, Tom made it very clear as he wore the headset during Monday Night Football, which I thought was it was a bad move, but it was a Bigfoot move. It was an I'm the GOAT and you're not move. It's I can do whatever the hell I want move to show the world I am engaged here. I am plugged in with these Raiders. I am actually advising. I am on the play calling headset. And it obviously forced Pete Carroll, others to acknowledge that Tom talks often to offensive coordinator, head coach, and GM. He knows them all, close with all of them. And that he's constantly interacting and inputting into the now Las Vegas Raiders. So I've said this many times, the more I listen to Brady as a broadcaster, the worse he gets. And I've never seen a time when a network felt compelled to actually advertise the commentator during the game he's commenting upon. In Fox, they keep running this Brady ad about Brady's football brains. They keep just running it over and over and over again. Brady knows it all because the public sees that he can't know it all the way Chris Collinsworth can get it all, or Tony Romo can get it all, or Troy Aikman can get it all, because their hands aren't tied behind their backs. They can actually interact. They can go to practice and and be told in confidence things that leak into their coverage on game night that I want to know. I'm the biggest football fan you'll ever know. I'm fanatic. I'm obsessed. I'm addicted. I admit it. But there are times little tidbits from Chris Collinsworth said during the Green Bay Cowboy game of Sunday night ago, the 40-40 win for us. He just pops out that Shamar James, their 5th round choice, who got thrown into the game in that game and then again in the one at Jets, Shamar James, according to Chris, is the best blitzer on the team. Well, I barely knew who he was, period. He's their 5th round rookie this year. Couldn't get on the field. In part because Eberflus brought from Chicago this Jack Sanborn, who he's the classic. He plays just with his head because he doesn't have much talent to play with. I don't get him, and then God bless him, knock on wood, he got concussed the other day. Shamar James got in the game at Jets and had 15 tackles in 3 quarters. And I kept harking back to what Chris Collinsworth told me on air was that Shamar James is so athletically explosive that he's the best blitzer on the team. Well, I didn't know that. Brady wouldn't tell me anything like that. The more I listen to Tom Brady, the worse it gets. He is all-time Captain Obvious. He is vanilla extract. He tells me nothing I can't see with my own 2 eyes. And I do know football because I've been doing this a long time, and I learned from Don Shula, and I learned from Bill Washington, I learned from Tom Landry, and I learned from Jimmy Johnson. I did. I paid my dues. I know this game pretty well. I'm not at all intimidated by going back and forth with Aqib Talib or Gerald McCoy, Cody Kessler, Richie Incognito, whoever's on our show on Arena Gridiron. I've never been intimidated. For years I was with Shannon Sharp. It just doesn't bother me. I'll go back and forth. I get it. But Tom never tells me anything that I say, oh, I didn't think of that. Tony Romo, always. Tony Romo takes stands. Tom can't say anything bad. You cannot, as an owner, criticize anything on the football field. Not referees, not players, not coaches, cannot criticize. So it just vanillas you out. Tony takes stands constantly. The other day, he just took stand after stand. I was like, whoa. On the grounding call, where they threw the flag on Bo Nix, Tony said, that's grounding. I know grounding. He said, that's grounding. That's what Tony said. He knows grounding. He said it was just basically a blind throw to nobody, but there was somebody sort of in the vicinity, and they let replay tell them to pick up the flags that they had thrown. They had decided, they'd conferred and decided grounding, drop flag, replay assist, pick up flag. Didn't even make an announcement about it. Changed the game. It was the pivotal point in the Denver at Philly game. Tony Romo was all over it. Tom's not going to tell you that. He's not going to take any stands. He's just going to say what's happening. He's just going to sort of repeat what's actually happening that you can already see with no real wisdom or evaluation or insight or analysis. You just don't get it from Tom. So here's my point. Is it possible that Tom is Jordan? Is it possible? I'm really starting to think this, even though his hands are tied, I give you. But is it possible that Brady can't say what he sees because he just can't? Is it possible he had such genius that he can't explain it? That Tony, remember, Tony's undrafted. He's the classic overachieving Cowboy quarterback out of nowhere, thanks to Sean Payton. Tony can see it and say it and analyze on the fly. It's immediate. It's happening very quickly, and you have to pierce it with your insight. Pierce. And Tom can't, because maybe he just can't. Maybe he's not capable. I'm just not sure. They all say, if you ever sat with Brady off camera, he'd rip and slash. And I'm sure he would, but would he smartly rip and slash? Is it possible that he had such IQ genius for football, for speed reading defenses, that he can't explain it, and he can't apply it to what's happening with lesser players down on the football field that he's supposed to be commenting upon? Is it possible Tom just, along with Jordan, maybe he's a terrible GM candidate? I mean, right now, the Oakland Raiders, as I have always called them, now Las Vegas Raiders, they're a wreck. It's not working. So all of Tom's input has not gotten them anywhere. In the draft, I don't know. Geno, was he in on Geno? I've never been in on Geno. I said when Geno was at West Virginia, I just don't like it. He was a Heisman candidate for like half the year, Heisman leader. I just never liked him. I didn't like his command, his poise, his mindset. He's got talent enough that you can win some games with him, but Pete Carroll's out of his mind right now. He's beside himself. It sounds like Pete Carroll's lost because he said, I thought we were going to win a bunch of games. And they went and they shockingly won at New England. I still don't get that game. Geno played pretty well. Drake May didn't. But that was game number one. Players playing no preseason games anymore. And then what happened to the Raiders? Where's Ashton Genty? Brock Bowers got a knee issue. I got it. Geno's just Geno. Interception waiting to happen. What has he thrown? 9, leads the league with 9. Ugh. Why hasn't Tom been able to fix that? Well, maybe he's just Jordan. Maybe he didn't like Shedeur in the draft because he just doesn't get it. Maybe Tom can't see what really works at quarterback for everybody else. Maybe he can't explain exactly why he was so great. Maybe he just doesn't have that quality. Maybe it doesn't translate into broadcast television. I think that's what you'll find. I'll go on record. I think you'll find that he won't stay the course for 10 years with Fox. I hope I'm wrong for Fox's sake. And I love Tom. Nobody ever defended Tom harder as a player than I did. He's the runaway GOAT. He's way better than Mahomes ever thought about being. And anybody else you want to throw, he's a little better than Joe Montana, who went 4-0 in the Super Bowl. But I can't defend this because I'm starting to think that Tom Brady and Michael Jordan also share a post-career quality, which is they just can't tell you exactly how and why they were so great. Remember I said that. Next time you listen to Tom Brady or watch Tom Brady, call a football game. I just can't listen anymore. I'm to the point I'm turning down the sound.